health problems in terms of treatment. And that, what happens there really? People shackled to trees, starved in the name of...
Lion Brit Radio, BBC. Boy, well, it's really not only BBC, but BBC is my main source of disinformation. Because I drive a cab at night, and I listen to radio a lot, of course. And I listen to BBC, which comes over 3 different NPR stations in New York City. They become my main source of news. And I know that everyone else in the mainstream media is pretty much lying the same way that they do. In a way, it's unfair for me to concentrate on BBC. But what the hell? I'm not such a nice guy anyway, and I don't like the BBC. I just have to listen to them. All right, Gaza. Where did the trouble begin? When did the trouble start? My goodness, was it when the Gazans were firing these homemade rockets into the place they call Israel, and these rockets were crashing into cornfields and ponds and the beachfront into the water? I don't want to make light of rockets falling on people, because that's got to be a very terrifying, frightful thing, and something that shouldn't be happening to civilians. But, you know, sometimes, there's this old saying, you know, reaping what you sow, and what's going around, coming around, and so forth. Because, let's face it, they're howling on the BBC and on the NPR about how Israel is justified because they, after all, cannot allow rockets to be falling on their people. So what do? They send rockets slamming into homes, hospitals, a building that houses media and reporters in Gaza, day after day after day, hour after hour after hour. Now, I understand from what I hear, the Palestinians in Gaza have got their hands on some better missiles than they used to have. They've fired hundreds and hundreds of, during this event, according to the media, which I trust in this matter, the Gazans, Hamas, Islamic Jihad, and other militants who are fighting for the independence of Palestine, they have fired hundreds of rockets into the Israeli state, and some of them have landed, they say, in or near Tel Aviv and in or near Jerusalem. But total of death toll is 3. Now, like I say, I'm not in favor of civilians dying in wars. But who invented this crap? You know, and who invented it in Palestine? We can go all the way back to Dar Yassin and the expulsion, the ethnic cleansing of the Palestinian people from what you now call Israel, and the continual pressing and squeezing on them that's happening in Gaza and in what they call the West Bank. Now, I want to say something else about Gaza, because the Zionists get on the radio and they say, well, Israel withdrew from Gaza. Gaza is independent. Yeah, right. Are they? Can they open an airport? No. Can they operate a seaport? No. Are people permitted to enter and leave according to the wishes of the authorities in Gaza? No. What independence is that? That's not independence. What happened was the people in Gaza were absolutely dedicated to expelling the Israeli settlers from their midst. And through years and years of struggle, finally Israel gave up on colonizing directly. At least they gave up for the time. They gave up on colonizing Gaza directly. They pulled their soldiers out, they pulled civilians out, they built a fence all around it, and they coerced, and well, probably with not Sadat, that other bozo who just got kicked out in Egypt, didn't have to coerce too much to get Egypt's cooperation to lock Gaza down. So, if you are confined, 1,700,000 of you, more than half of whom are children, you are confined to an area about the size of the 5 boroughs of New York, and you can't leave, and you can't import, and you can't export, and you can't go to universities in other places, and what is your alternative but to lash out? And so, with the most primitive tools at hand, homemade rockets they started with. Now somebody seems to be providing them or selling them something better. And you know what? Why not?